The first humans looked nothing like us. In fact, scientists think we most likely descended from early forms of apes, and the earliest human-like creatures look like a cross between them and us. These first human-like creatures are called hominids. Hominids had some human attributes, such as the ability to walk upright and opposable thumbs, which means able to move toward and touch the other fingers of the same hand. Okay? The earliest hominids lived in Africa 4 million years ago, evolving over time. There are many different types of hominids, but here are a few types. Australopithecus, and that is spelled Australopithecus. I'll place that in the description, like the other key terms. About 4 million years ago, Australopithecus means southern ape, which tells us that these human-like apes were probably from eastern or southern Africa. Lucy, a famous Australopithecus hominid, she was discovered in 1974 and changed the way scientists looked at the evolution of humankind. It is believed that Lucy is a common ancestor for the different types of hominids. She had a very small brain but walked on 2 legs. Nearly 2 million years before other hominids would walk upright. Walking allowed Lucy to keep her hands free, but she used sticks and stones to dig or break open food instead of making tools. Archaeologists once believed that the ability to walk upright led hominids to make tools, but Lucy showed this wasn't true. Homo habilis, key term. About 2 million years ago, Homo habilis means able man. This short hominid lived in East Africa and had a larger brain than the species Australopithecus, and was the first Homo species to use stone tools. Homo erectus lived about 1.5 million years ago. Homo erectus, or upright man, was a more advanced hominid. Even though Lucy and the older hominids walked upright, Homo erectus had longer arms and legs and looked more like a human. About 500,000 years ago, Homo erectus learned to make fire, probably from rubbing 2 sticks together or by striking stones together to create a spark. This was a huge help for hunting, protection from other animals, cooking, and keeping warm. Fire also meant that these hominids could move to areas with colder climates which is why Homo erectus was probably the first hominid type to leave warm Africa. Homo sapiens lived around 400,000 years ago. Homo sapiens, or wise man, was a new species of human that quickly became the main species. They made tools from stones, animal bones, and horns. With these tools, they developed new farming and hunting techniques. Homo sapiens had large brains and small jaws. Their limbs were even longer and straighter than those of Homo erectus, and closer to what we look like today. There are two kinds of Homo sapiens: Neanderthals and Homo sapiens sapiens. Neanderthals lived in and around present-day Europe and parts of Turkey. They maybe made clothes from animal skins to keep warm and were the earliest people to bury their dead. They had large brains but heavier builds and were more slow-moving than Homo sapiens sapiens, who eventually replaced the Neanderthals. Homo sapiens sapiens lived about 200,000 years ago. Homo sapiens sapiens means wise human, and is the group that includes today's humans. They first appeared in Africa and then spread out around the world about 100,000 years ago. Homo sapiens sapiens had a slow journey out of Africa. Archaeologists say they may have moved only 2 or 3 miles in a whole generation. The Paleolithic life. The first humans lived in the Paleolithic era, or the Old Stone Age, about 2.5 million BCE to around 10,000 BCE. Humans made simple tools from hard stones such as flint. They made hand axes and stone spearheads attached to wooden poles, which made hunting large animals easier. The bow and arrow, harpoons, and fish hooks of bone to catch fish and other sea animals. Baskets to gather and carry food, and rope from vines twisted together. Small statues from stones and ivory, and bone flutes. The Paleolithic people were hunters and gatherers. They probably divided labor to feed themselves, with men hunting and women gathering berries, nuts, and plants. They were nomads, moving from place to place to survive in small groups. They followed grazing animals, and they changed location based on the growing season. When plants stopped growing, they would move again. Paleolithic people had no permanent homes and built new shelters wherever they went. Nomad is a key term listed in the description. The Great Migration. The Great Migration was a time of vast movement and long-distance travel for humans who were beginning to explore other continents. Most humans followed the animals they hunted across the continents after moving toward wet climates with lakes and fertile lands. The Ice Age pushed humans toward warmer regions and connected the continents through land bridges. They were uncovered as sea levels lowered. Humans walked from Africa until they reached every continent except Antarctica. It took roughly 1 million years. Six to 7 million years ago, first human-like species appeared, which has a chimpanzee-sized brain. 6 million years ago, we start walking upright around now. 4 million years ago, walking upright, but also still climbing trees. 2.6 million years ago, technology, we start using stone flakes and cores to cut and crush food. 500,000 years ago, we discover fire, which changes our diet, gives us a warm hangout, and helps us to stay safe from predators. 200,000 to 8,000 years ago, our brains rapidly grow bigger so we communicate better and more of us survive in the harsh environment. 80,000 years ago, we leave Africa and begin the Great Migration. Art was one form of communication for the nomadic Paleolithic people, probably used for storytelling and sharing myths. Sometimes hunting strategies were drawn on the walls of cave. Stone lamps filled with animal fat would light the caves while the Paleolithic people painted. Animal fat was also used to make paint. Mixed with various mineral ores, artists used fat to create reds, yellows, blacks, and mix together colors for their work. Artists would use their fingers to draw on the walls and caves, or they would use sticks, leaves, and hollow reeds to blow paint through. Sometimes they left handprints, maybe as a signature. Most cave paintings show animals during a hunt, and some anthropologists had to say it twice, think the paintings were created as rituals to ensure a good hunt. Check on learning. What was the Great Migration and how long did it take? The Great Migration was a time when humans traveled from Africa and began to explore every continent except Antarctica. They hunted across the continents and found places with fresh water and fertile lands. The Great Migration took roughly 1 million years. What are some reasons why early humans made cave paintings? Early humans used cave paintings to communicate and probably to tell stories and share myths. They also drew hunting strategies and probably used the paintings as part of rituals they hoped would guarantee a good hunt. How do scientists learn about things that happened in prehistory? Scientists learn about prehistory through artifacts, which are objects such as tools, instruments, buildings, pottery, or anything else made by humans. They use these objects to find clues about prehistoric life.